In the aftermath of the flood and considering the large death toll, survivors, families, community leaders, and journalists are all asking, how could this happen? Pointed questions are coming from reporters at recent media briefings in Kerrville.
Mr. Mayor, records show that the concept of flood warnings has been discussed at least 24 times by the county. What's the biggest reason that these systems have not gone into place at this point?
Well, with all due respect, sir, I think that the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
One area of focus is Kerr County's efforts over the past 8 years to secure funding to modernize its flood warning system, efforts that clearly failed. Houston Chronicle reporter Neena Satija has been digging into state and county records to find out why. She joins us now. Neena, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we'll get more into the details in a moment, but first, why are you seeing that this new system was never funded despite several attempts?
As far as we can tell, Kerr County tried at least 3 separate times to get funding for this system, along with the local river authority. First couple of times they were denied when they asked for federal funding, but they needed state officials to sign off. The third time, the state actually said, sure, we'll give you 5% match and 0% interest loan. And they decided that that still wasn't favorable enough terms for them in order to move forward with the project, which would have cost about $1 million. So really, they've been struggling for funding. Now, there's a question as, could they have found funding from other sources? We're still doing reporting to try to figure that out.
And for a little more context, this effort started after the 2015 Memorial Day flood in Wimberley, which was a serious wake-up call. What happened there and what led us to here?
That's right. So in Wimberley in 2015, felt like a similar situation in a lot of ways. I believe the Blanco River rose dozens of feet, maybe 40, 45 feet in just an hour. 13 people died, lots of houses, homes, businesses swept away, and everyone said we need an early warning system. So Kerr County started to talk about it at that time. What's interesting is they had actually done a flood warning system back in 1989. This was 2 years after they had another devastating flood, where 10 campers actually died when they were trying to evacuate the camps. So it wasn't the first rodeo for Kerr County, but I think it had been kind of forgotten about. And so they felt like after this Wimberley disaster, they should go back and try to do another flood warning system. Of course, they were not successful in getting that done.
And another question is, why does it always have to wait until a terrible tragedy to warrant these conversations? What do the experts you've spoken with say about whether a better system in place could have saved lives this time in Kerr County?
I think a better system could have made a big difference. I think depends on exactly how you look at it, but for sure every expert we've talked to has said that there aren't enough gauges along the Guadalupe River or its tributaries in Kerr County. There isn't a system that takes all that information that could be collected and puts it somewhere central so the public can actually look at it. There are other places that have this. In Austin, you can go to a website and you can look at where low water crossings are closed because they've been flooded. You can't do that in Kerr County. So I think certainly there could have been some measures taken that could have saved some lives. Whether, again, someone has to pay attention to those warnings, and that's another big thing that's being looked at. But I think more data, more technology could have made a difference in this flood.
And this has become a conversation around the state and nationally, too. The governor and the legislature seem poised to address this safety problem in a big way in this upcoming special session. Will new warning systems, you think, come out of this? What should we expect?
I think it's possible, but I think we also should really watch closely and be skeptical of what our leaders are saying. How quickly can they get this done? How effective are these warning systems going to be? Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has talked about sirens. What's going to trigger those sirens? How are we going to tell the public what a siren means? How are we going to make sure people can hear them? Some of them go off for as much as 3 miles. If you're hearing a siren from 3 miles away, is that really going to tell you what you need to know? And the big question is, should people be in these incredibly flood-prone areas to begin with? So I think the legislature seems committed to working on this problem, but I think we'll really want to watch closely to see if they actually make a dent in it or not.
Indeed, and we will be watching that as well. From the National Weather Service and other federal weather science organizations to state emergency management and response and down all the way to the local level. So many layers in this and all likely to see more scrutiny following this flood. Neena, thank you so much for sharing your reporting with us.
Thank you.